Jack, nice to be talking to you again. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Well, actually, I'm quite impressed by what you've been doing, and you know how it works. We're up here. We're so far away that we don't know what you're doing, and I'm always amazed when I hear about things. And people ask me why I don't include Alkane in any of my lists, because I just assume that you're a genuine polymetallic producer, and that you don't, since you're not dependent on rare earths. I don't want to include you in a list of rare earths. That's the point. But I looked at your website, and I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. I'm a little confused by a statement that you say you'll produce 1,200 tons of heavy rare earth mixed concentrate in your total, and that would be 5% of what? It says
it's meant to be about 5% of current world consumption of heavy rare earths.
Okay.
That's what I mean. That's what we mean by that. Okay. And I know these numbers are all very vague and rubbery.
Right.
That's roughly what that number means. Yeah.
And tell me, I think that I recall the number 1,200 tons of yttrium. Is that correct?
The total is about 1,300 tons of what we call the heavy rare earth group.
Okay.
Of which about 900 is yttrium.
Okay, well that is a very significant amount of yttrium, and what I read on your website is that you expect to start producing next year.
2016. Sorry,
okay,
2016. Yeah.
Right. Here's the point. That would be around more than 10% of the world's production of yttrium at the moment. And it would be, as far as I know, the first commercial yttrium produced outside of China in this century. So
that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's our understanding also. Yeah.
And is that committed to existing customers, at least under some kind of intent letter?
There certainly is intent and interest. I mean, it's the one major output that Shin-Etsu are not interested in, as you'd expect, being a magnet company. They have no real interest. What we found, though, is once that Shin-Etsu deal started to crystallise, we had a lot of approach from phosphor manufacturers and ceramics. So the answer is, look, I think we could sell double that if we produced more. I think the option there is to sell a lot of yttrium.
What I mean is, are you open to any new interested customers for that, or are you over?
The answer is yes. Always happy to talk to people. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think here in the U.S. there's a couple of interested parties that I do not believe are aware of how far along you are. Now, I understand your production of materials would begin in 2016. When would you actually have some yttrium in whatever? I assume your form will be yttrium oxide.
Yes, it will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, basically, I mean, look, with ramp up, I think you'd start talking commercial quantities of yttrium sometime early 2017.
Okay. Well, I think you would be, as far as I know, and I'm quite familiar with what's going on. I can't see anybody coming out sooner than that outside of China, unless somebody with a bunch of zenotime should get into business right away. You know what?
Sure.
But that doesn't seem to be in the cards, so to speak, in the near.
Yeah, look, I don't usually comment on other projects and where they are in their timetable, but you're right. Zenotime does provide an opportunity to get into production fairly quickly. Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing. Tell me, what other heavy rare earths would you be producing? Which ones?
We'll certainly produce substantial dysprosium, terbium, gadolinium, and all of the other, what I call the exotics, right through the whole spectrum. So we'll produce, I'll call it loosely, commercial quantities of all of those other rare earths as well. Now, the reason we've currently stopped quoting the actual tonnages, the outputs of those, is really because of our ongoing relationship with Shin-Etsu. They've asked us not to actually publish individual volumes at this stage,
okay,
because of obviously their relationship with Chinese producers, etc. at this stage. So, but yes, we can produce the full spectrum, small amounts of europium, but otherwise the full spectrum.
okay. So that would include things like ytterbium and
Yeah,
helium.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's where our relationship with Shinetsu is important again, because they actually can produce
Mhm.
through their existing separation facility at Tukafu all of those individual rare earths. So
Okay.
yeah, ytterbium, holmium, erbium, lutetium. Yeah.
I assume, if it's public, that some of the material will be spoken for by Shinetsu. They'll buy some of this.
Yeah, obviously their main interest is in dysprosium and terbium. That's their
Right.
main. They're a magnet company, but there's increasing interest in some of these other exotic ones as well.
Yes.
Not totally from Shinetsu, but certainly outside.
Okay. No, because I'm aware of some of interest now for the others,
Yeah.
not from the electronic space, but from specialty alloys. It's very very interesting work
Yes.
going on here. It's public.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And, the interesting thing is that somebody did an estimate here on what they would need for a full-blown program of specialty alloys. It's no secret. These alloys would be for superstructural materials like for aircraft and military purposes. And it turns out that ideally, believe this or not, 1/10% of scandium in aluminum gives the aluminum superior properties for aircraft. The only problem is that all the scandium in the world would fit in your pocket at the moment. So it's very dense, but not besides that. There isn't any. And no one can produce it because other than the byproduct, and no one's going to be producing 1 million tons of something to get 10 or 20 tons of scandium. So it's turned out that there are substitutes for scandium, but they are also rare earths. So the important thing is that they're heavy rare earths, and they're the lesser well-known ones, But and that's why I'm asking you, because I think it's very important for the people well, let me say NATO to know that this is coming about, because they're very interested in this project. So at this point, when we put this on Investor Intel, everybody's going to know about it. But the reason I'm mentioning it is that timing is important, and so many people are saying, well, we're going to do something in 2019, 20, 21, and the rest of us are wondering if we're going to be here in 2019, 20, and 21. We're not thinking about that. And quite frankly, from reading your material and listening to some of your talks, I have a high confidence that you're going to meet your timetable. So you are going to be very early on a supplier, and I'm one of these fellows who believes first come, first served.
Yes.
So I suspect that the companies who contract with you and begin taking your material aren't going to just run away if somebody else produces some material. This is a very important point I'm trying to make to the rare earth community, that you can't wait forever and you need to meet deadlines.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Absolutely.
Good. and now switching to zirconium. I note that your zirconium mineralogy is not quite what we see in other places. And could you comment on that, because it's unique?
It's an unusual mineral species. I mean, we use the word eudialyte, and I know eudialyte always seems to manage to get people excited in North America, but it's a eudialyte, armstrongite-like mineral. In other words, it's a zirconium silicate with water, sodium, yttrium, and heavy earths in the latter structure. And the important thing about it is that it goes into solution very quickly in sulfuric acid. But more importantly, and this is where I find the North Americans leap up and down, we don't get a silica issue. A lot of eudialyte in the past processing has generated silica issues in the solvent extraction circuit. We don't get that. We managed to understand the chemistry well enough, so we get minimal silica going through. So it is, you're right, it is an unusual mineral. and it's probably closer to eudialyte than anything else, but it's not pure eudialyte.
Is it a mineral that maintains the same ratio of hafnium as the other zirconium minerals, zircon?
Yeah, fundamentally yes. It starts off like that, very close to the normal zircon ratio. Yeah.
So your production of zirconium or zirconium oxide per year is targeted at what number?
Roughly 16,000 tonnes a year of zirconium oxide. That's our output. That's our current planned output.
Are you then speaking of a couple of hundred tons of hafnium a year?
Yes, we would normally talk as high as 300 tonnes, but at this stage, interestingly in our flow sheet, and this is where we get into some interesting chemistry and complex IP issues, basically our flow sheet naturally and accidentally, if I can use that word,
sure,
reduces the hafnium content. So by the time we get to our finished product, we actually have a much lower ratio of hafnium to zirconium than you normally would have. And one of the things we're currently looking at is okay, does this have any influence on the downstream products? We believe not. But it does throw up interesting options when you go down the path to produce zirconium metal, say nuclear grade zirconium metal. Right. Less hafnium is very important because it's less cost.
So you're not looking at hafnium as a payable here. This is just a sort of an added feature at no extra cost.
Yeah, it is, but because of some inquiries we've had, we've actually now started to look and say, well, can we recover that hafnium? And the answer is probably yes. Mm-hmm. Whether it's economic or not, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But there certainly is a growing interest in hafnium for multiple of options for uses that we're starting to hear a lot about.
That's right. Hafnium has become of interest in the electronic world, as well as nuclear fuel construction. So again, you're going to be a serious producer of this material. Even if it's a couple of hundred tons, that's quite a bit of hafnium.
Sure. Yes, you're quite right. I mean, it's interesting. It's a bit like the tantalum. I mean, we have a lot of tantalum in the deposit. Right now, we don't have a process to recover the tantalum, but even if we said 50% tantalum, we'd be one of the biggest tantalum oxide producers in the world if we can come up with a process to recover it. But as you'll appreciate right now, it's not a priority for us. It's something, get the main project up and running, come back and look at those nice little things on the side.
Okay, so it means really that you've got some added value things possibly coming down the pike, even though your business model shows you'll be profitable without them.
Absolutely,
okay, So that's very good. And then niobium, again, it's interesting to me. Niobium production is almost, as you know, entirely in Brazil, and I think there's a bit in Canada. We have one junior in the States that's talking about it. And when would you be producing your first niobium?
The same with everything else, probably late 2016, but commercially 2017.
And are you going to produce a compound or the ferroniobium?
We're going to produce ferroniobium, and that's what our partnership with Tribarca is all about. We're in partnership with the Austrian company Tribarca, who's a specialist alloy manufacturer, if you know them. Produce ferrovanadium, ferromolybdenum, also an interest in ferroniobium, so we're in partnership with them too. They're giving us the technology to go from our pentoxide concentrate to produce high quality ferroniobium.
You're going to have an on-site ferroalloy plant.
Absolutely, yes.
With Tribarca technology.
Yeah, correct. Tribarca are providing the technological input into it, and will be partnership in the downstream marketing of that.
You don't plan to do any rare earths, make any rare earth ferroalloys, do you?
No, we don't. Okay. No.
I'm going to guess that your now friends and partners at Shinetsu will do that for themselves. They do.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Correct.
But you're going to have quite a versatile company.
Yes, I mean it's one of the big advantages that and I guess if we're getting into the promotion side, the way we promote ourselves is that diversity of output gives us a lot of flexibility. We're really not locked into the vagaries of the rare earth market or anything else for that matter. The spread of metals gives us a nice revenue stream. Some people say it's a complicated flow sheet because of that. We don't believe it's complicated. It's actually fairly straightforward. But yeah, that's been the strategy now for many years.
Do you know of anyone else who happens to be in the rare earth sector who has a model like yours? I'm not familiar with it, and I'm asking because I don't know anyone else. Is it?
Not really. No, I think the guys at Matamec and Avalon and Quest
Yeah.
and Tasman are sort of going down the same path, but they seem to be really much more focused on just the heavy rare earth production, whereas
Right.
we've never felt comfortable in doing that. We felt the project that confined its viability a bit. So you're right. I'm not aware of any other project that plans to produce the full spectrum of zirconium, niobium, and rare earth products.
Well, thank you for the time in. I really appreciate it.